Roman justice wasn't blind, it was brutal. From sacks filled with animals to executions in front of cheering crowds, these punishments will chill you to your core. Picture this. You're standing in the heart of ancient Rome, surrounded by towering marble columns and the echoes of a once mighty empire. But beneath the grandeur lies a dark underbelly of justice so severe it would make even the bravest gladiator tremble. Let's start with a punishment so horrific it's hard to believe it was real. Poena Cullei, or the punishment of the sack, was reserved for those who committed the unthinkable crime of patricide. Imagine being sewn into a leather sack, but you're not alone. Oh no, the Romans had a twisted sense of creativity. They'd throw in a live dog, a rooster, a monkey, and a venomous snake for good measure. Then you'd be tossed into the Tiber River or the sea, left to your fate as the animals tore you apart in your watery tomb. It's a punishment that combines the terror of drowning with the agony of being mauled by panicked creatures. The symbolism was clear. Those who killed their fathers were lower than animals and deserved a death befitting such depravity. But wait, there's more. Crucifixion wasn't just reserved for religious figures like Jesus. It was a common sight on the hills outside Roman cities, where criminals and rebels alike were nailed to wooden crosses and left to die an agonizingly slow death. Imagine the searing pain as rough iron spikes were driven through your wrists and feet, your body weight slowly suffocating you as you hung there for days. The Romans often lined roads with these gruesome displays, a stark warning to anyone who dared defy their rule. Passers-by would jeer and throw stones, adding humiliation to the excruciating physical torment. It was a death designed not just to punish, but to utterly break the spirit. If you thought that was bad, hold on to your toga. The Romans turned death into a spectacle, and nowhere was this more evident than in their infamous arenas. Picture yourself in the Colosseum, the roar of the crowd drowning out your pleas for mercy as you are pushed into the sandy arena. Across from you, a gate creaks open, and out stalks a pride of starving lions, their eyes fixed on you with predatory intent. This wasn't just execution, it was entertainment. Thousands would cheer as condemned criminals, prisoners of war, and even early Christians were torn apart by exotic beasts. The sand would turn red, the crowd would go wild, and the message was clear. Cross Rome, and you might end up as lion food. But Roman justice had an even darker side. If you were a slave, you could find yourself punished for crimes you didn't even commit. That's right. Masters could often offer up their slaves to take the fall for their own misdeeds. Imagine the gut-wrenching fear of knowing that at any moment you could be subjected to torture or execution for something your owner did. It was a system that dehumanized slaves even further, treating them as disposable property rather than human beings. A slave could be whipped, branded, or even crucified in place of their master, a chilling reminder of the complete lack of rights they possessed in Roman society. For those lucky enough to avoid immediate execution, there was still a fate worse than death waiting. Condemned to the mines, prisoners faced a life of unimaginable hardship. Picture being forced deep underground, your lungs filling with toxic dust as you chip away at rock faces for hours on end. The darkness is oppressive, broken only by flickering torchlight that cast eerie shadows on the cavern walls. Food is scarce, rest is non-existent, and the guards are merciless. Many didn't last more than a few months in these hellish conditions. It was a slow, grinding death sentence where your body would be worked to the bone until you simply couldn't go on any longer. The Romans didn't just punish individuals, they knew how to make examples of entire populations. Cities that rebelled against Roman rule could find themselves utterly destroyed, their inhabitants massacred or sold into slavery. Imagine your entire world being razed to the ground, your family torn apart, and your very identity erased from history. It was a fate that befell many who dared to challenge the might of Rome. But even in death, The Romans found ways to further humiliate their enemies. Corpses of executed criminals were often left to rot in public, denied proper burial rites that were so important in ancient culture. Birds and wild dogs would feast on the remains, a final indignity that was believed to condemn the soul to eternal unrest. For a society that placed such importance on honoring the dead, this was a punishment that extended beyond the grave. The psychological toll of these punishments can't be overstated. Living in a world where such brutal fates could befall you or your loved ones at any moment must have been terrifying. It created a culture of fear and obedience, where stepping out of line could lead to unimaginable suffering. The Romans understood that the threat of punishment could be just as effective as the punishment itself. Yet, it's important to remember that these brutal practices weren't universally accepted even in ancient times. Some Roman philosophers and leaders spoke out against excessive cruelty, arguing for more humane forms of justice. It's a reminder that even in the darkest periods of history, there were those who recognized the value of mercy and human dignity. As we look back on these chilling punishments, it's easy to feel a sense of superiority, to think we've come so far. But have we really? While our methods may have changed, the desire for retribution and the use of fear as a tool of control still exist in many justice systems around the world. Perhaps by studying the extremes of Roman justice, we can better understand our own society, its relationship with punishment, and work towards a more just and humane future. So the next time you complain about a parking ticket or a speeding fine, just remember, it could be worse. You could be sewn into a sack with a bunch of angry animals, or facing down a hungry lion in front of a cheering crowd. Roman justice may be a thing of the past, but its legacy serves as a stark reminder of the depths of human cruelty and the importance of tempering justice with mercy.